Welcome back to NYSE Live. I was recently on the ground at Proofpoint Protect in Nashville, Tennessee, covering how artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the industry and the company's recent solutions. In fact, I spoke with its CFO, Remy Thomas, about how it's evolved since its acquisition by Thoma Bravo in 2021. Let's take a listen.
Tons of changes. Before the acquisition, we're roughly $1 billion plus company. Last year, we crossed the $2 billion mark, so we doubled. We've significantly diversified our product portfolio, and we were perceived as a company essentially focused on email security. Now we're the specialists in human-centered security at large with a diversified set of activities, and we're making a pivot to AI, which is really one of the big themes of this event.
Yeah, we've seen AI certainly on display here at this event in Nashville. You have a unique story yourself. You've been CFO of Proofpoint as a public company and now as one owned by private equity. What is the difference between the two?
A huge difference. So when you CFO of a publicly traded company, every single quarter you have to report your earnings, and you have to meet a certain guidance, and ideally you want to beat and raise that guidance, and obviously you get the reward of seeing the stock price perform. And their private equity ownership does none of that, but your horizon to change the business is much longer. So typically private equity will come in and own an asset for about 5 years, and there's a lot of deep transformation that you can do to the business without worried about what Wall Street would think of it. So that's one of the key differences.
And how do you evaluate balancing profitability with growth?
Yeah, that's tricky, and generally speaking, there's this perception out there that private equity is only focused on the bottom line. They don't really care about top line growth. They want to maximize the profits. Thoma Bravo is very different from that. They're specialists in cybersecurity. They've got about 50 companies in tech in general, and cybersecurity is a big chunk of their portfolio. And they realize there's more value in assets that are growing than assets that are purely profitable. So we constantly invest in our business to make sure that we keep a double-digit growth rate.
It's fascinating. I see Proofpoint has completed more than 30 acquisitions since it was founded in 2002. What does your acquisition strategy look like?
We have a unique business model when it comes to acquisition. We typically don't buy companies that are $100 million of revenue. We buy companies that are maybe 5 to 10 years old with maybe single-digit million up to a few tens of millions of dollars. We call them tuck-in acquisition or sometimes acqui-hire. We're really interested in the technology that they've been developed, that's validated by customers, and then we're going to use our sales force, which is several hundred salespeople, to act like a super powerful echo chamber and basically enable the rapid growth of those businesses. And we've done this 30 times and we're very successful at it.
How do you evaluate whether to build or buy?
It's a question of time to market. So we could put like a team of 100 engineers on a specific product and hope that 18 months, 24 months from now we'll have a product. Sometimes we'd rather pay the price of acquiring a company, but we have something that's available right now. And so it's constantly going back and forth between the two.
Should we expect more acquisitions in the future?
Yes. I mean, we're not going to do anything major, transformative. We're not going to go buy our competitors, but this model of tuck-in acquisitions will continue.
Okay, I want to talk about artificial intelligence. You referenced it earlier. It is about everything that's happening here on the show floor. And from your view, is AI more of a tailwind or a headwind when it comes to your business?
Obviously, AI will create some challenges, and we haven't quite figured out. We can't pretend we've figured out everything, but as far as our business is concerned, we see it as a tailwind because we basically focus on what's called human-centric security up until now. It's protecting humans from making mistakes. And now these humans quite often are going to be supplemented by agents. Those agents are going to be attacked too. So our job will be to protect them as well.
Mm-hmm. And how do you look at AI and how it influences the way that you run your business?
It's going to be very transformative in nature. If you think about engineers right now, they can basically use AI such as ChatGPT to help them accelerate writing code. If I look at my own organization, I've got 500 plus people. we'll use AI to supplement our workforce. So it's something that's very transactional, that can be repeated simply. You might have an AI agent doing it on behalf of one of our employees.
Thoma Bravo, as we referenced earlier, owns Proofpoint at the moment. That's been the case for nearly 5 years at this point. What is the exit path from here? Is an IPO on the horizon?
Yeah, so I can't really answer on their behalf. I can only speculate. An exit strategy that would consist in selling to another private equity, given our size, is unlikely. You can imagine a strategic coming in and wanting to buy us. That's a possibility, but not within our control. So the third option, which is the one that is within our control, assuming Thoma's okay with it, would be an IPO. And for that to happen, you need good market conditions. That's what we see. You need a strong equity story. We're building it right now, as you can see here. And finally, you need us to achieve certain financial targets that would be in line with the expected return for Thoma. And so I can't tell you when that's going to happen, but think of it as being on the horizon.
On the horizon, good to know. Any more insight into what that might look like?
We think it's going to be meaningful in terms of size, and obviously it's going to be attracting a lot of investors because, again, Proofpoint has a very unique story focused on human-centric security. None of our competitors are capable of have the breadth of the portfolio that we have in that space, and there's not really any companies that are currently traded that focus on this market. So hopefully investors would be interested when that happens.
Okay, let's end with something fun. AI is a key theme here on the show floor. And if AI could plan your next vacation, Remy, where would it send you?
I think it would probably be on the beach somewhere in the south of France.
All right, thanks again to Proofpoint CFO Remy Thomas for that interview last month in Nashville.